One of the Seattle Mariners last night in Daikin Park. Peter Lambert had a solid start on the mound for Houston, going 7 innings, allowing 6 hits, 3 earned runs with 6 strikeouts. The Astros will try to even up the series tonight in Game 2, and it'll be Brian Wu for the Mariners versus Tetsuya Imai for the Astros. First pitch is at 7:10 p.m. tonight, and you can listen to it on our sister station, News Talk 98.5 FM. Around the AL West, Cleveland Guardians took down the Los Angeles Angels 7-2, and the Arizona Diamondbacks beat the Texas Rangers 1-0. With those results, the Athletics still sit atop the AL West standings, with Seattle now 2 games back, and the Angels and the Astros tied in last place at 6 games back. And last night in the NBA playoffs, the Cleveland Cavaliers evened up their series with the Detroit Pistons at 2 games apiece, with last night's 112-103 win in Cleveland. Donovan Mitchell was on fire for the Cavs, putting up 43 points with 5 rebounds and 2 assists. Now the series will move back to Detroit for Game 5 on Wednesday night. And the Oklahoma City Thunder completed a clean sweep of the Los Angeles Lakers with a 115-110 win in LA last night. SGA led the way for the Thunder with 35 points and 8 assists. And now the Thunder will wait for the winner of the Minnesota Timberwolves and San Antonio Spurs series, who will play Game 5 tonight in San Antonio. The series is tied up at 2 games apiece, and tip-off is at 7 p.m. tonight in the Frostbank Center. I'm Blake Persher, and you're listening to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, your home for the LSU Tigers and the Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. Dawson Iserlo prides himself on taking a deep dive to uncover all the relevant data about the sports and sports teams he loves. And now he's sharing all those facts inside his big brain with all of you. Here is the Lowdown with D-Lo on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is the Lowdown, ESPN 103.7 in Lafayette, 104.1 in Lake Charles. Anywhere you are with the ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app, and now also streaming live on YouTube each and every day. Check us out over there if you have not already. I am Dawson Iserlo. We are inside the Beal and Bear studios here in Upper Lafayette. We've got 2 hours for you here from 1 to 3 p.m. We've got a lot of college baseball today. That's going to kind of be the theme of the show. I'm only here for 3 days this week. We've got Astros baseball on Thursday, and then I'll be out of town Friday. So I want to kind of get to some of these weekend series. I want to talk a lot about UL and Coastal Carolina because everything seems to be on the line. We went over a little bit of that yesterday. We also have some audio clips for you from Matt Deggs. And so here's how we're going to do this. We'll have a 3-guest day, all 3 of which will talk about college baseball. Kevin Foote will join us at 1:30. Kevin will talk about more than just college baseball, but we'll talk about the Cajun situation, kind of how he's feeling about this weekend, what he thinks the Cajuns need to get done, all that stuff. At the top of hour number 2, we're going to have Sam Widerhaft on. Sam is part of the broadcast team with Coastal Carolina, so Sam is going to join us and give us the Coastal perspective, so we'll go behind enemy lines, so to speak. There's some interesting things with that team. Obviously, they're not playing their best baseball right at this moment, but you know, much of the year they've looked very much like the team that was trying to defend a national runner-up spot last year, and they made it all the way to the College World Series Finals. So got to figure out what's going on with Cameron Flukie, and hoping Sam can shed some insight on that whole situation with us. We'll do that at the top of hour number 2. Then Micah Butel is our College Baseball Central guest who joins us every week to talk, you know, the sport in general. Usually joins us on Thursdays. Well, since we don't have a show on Thursday with Astros baseball, moved him up to today. So Micah will join us at the bottom of hour number 2 at 2:30. So it'll be Kevin Foote at 1:30, Sam Widerhaft at 2 o'clock, Micah Butel at 2:30, all somewhat college baseball related, 2 of which will only talk college ball. And then, of course, with Kevin, we'll mix in some other topics. The Astros are still playing pretty poorly. Watched last night's game. Peter Lambert's got to be the biggest bright spot of the season so far. He was awesome again, but it didn't matter. So the Stros are still up against it right now. They're now 10 games below 500. We will get Kevin's thoughts on that and more when he joins us in, at this point, just about 25 minutes from right now. Some other things to get to. I did watch some NBA last night. That's where we're actually going to start. We've got, you know, a pretty incredible performance last night in Cleveland that helped them even up that series. The Lakers are off to Cancun this week. So a lot to get to. We also have PGA Championship tee times coming out, hopefully at some point during the show or soon, because I've been refreshing all day, more for my own personal reasons than the show. But we can also share with you who's playing with who and when those tee times are going to get started. Obviously, I know Ray just talked with our friend Kevin Pryes, Ray and James did, on RP3 and Mesh. So, as I said, college baseball-centric day. Let's get it fired up, though, talking about something else to start, and let's get locked in.
D'Lo is the kind of guy that stays locked in. On what? Well, that depends on the night. But you can guarantee there was some sporting event that he found interesting. It's time to find out what D'Lo was locked in on The Lowdown.
All right, we'll start locked in by doing an in-depth breakdown of last night's episode of Euphoria to get the show started. Just kidding. And I just wanted to get James Mesh's reaction on that. So that's not what we're going to start with. We'll start with the NBA playoffs. Look, this was a night where you had two series that are in very different spots, obviously, on a Monday. First off, Cleveland and Detroit. Cleveland gets another one. I love the throwbacks that Cleveland wore. There's a lot of teams. I don't know if a lot, maybe a lot's a strong word. There's several teams in the NBA that I think to myself, just go ahead and embrace the throwback thing and make it your new modern uniform. Everybody loves throwbacks, and we have this conversation in the NFL as well, like with the Tampa Bay Bucks when they brought the creamsicles back, and like when the Jets are actually one of the first teams to do it. They kind of brought the throwbacks back. Everybody kind of liked them, and they were like, you know what, let's just lean into it. Let's go all in, and let's make the throwbacks the primary uniform again. I do understand that part of the reason we like the throwbacks is because it's some feeling of nostalgia. It's a feeling of the past. It's, connected to what that era was, whether you were watching sports in a different way, whether you were a kid, whether you were just in a different stage of your life. So part of it would kind of go away if you wore them all the time. But, there's just no arguing in my mind that the Cleveland Cavaliers throwback uniforms are better than what they're currently wearing. There's not even a slimmer of a doubt that the Timberwolves throwback uniforms are way better than what they're wearing right now. And I think there's a handful of other teams around the league that the same can be said for. Either way, despite all that, Detroit, look, I still think Detroit has a chance to be the better team in this series and win it, but they're going to have to get some help to Cade Cunningham, man. I mean, and last night, Karis LeVert did his best. He had 3 threes made. He scored 24 off the bench, but only 2 starters reached double figures. And that was Cade and Tobias Harris. You're not getting a whole lot. And I know Duren's minutes have been interesting as the big man here and kind of how he matches up against Mobley and Jared Allen. Evan Mobley had one of his better games in this series so far, but this was about Donovan Mitchell, and he scores 43 in this game. The third quarter was unbelievable. He had a record-tying second half as well with 39 in the second half, and obviously a lot of that came in the third and some in the fourth as well, where he just took over this game. And that is the one. Now, I wouldn't say you worry that Detroit doesn't have that player because Cade can be that guy. We've seen it a few times already. But that was impressive for Cleveland to kind of stake their claim to this. James Harden had a good shooting night, by the way, at least from 3. He was 0 for 5 on 2-point shots, but he was 5 for 9 from 3, 11 assists. So Harden did not have a typical Harden meltdown there for you. And, this is a Detroit team that had a real opportunity to get up to 3-0. And, that second, I wouldn't call it a full-blown meltdown, but, they got outscored by 17 in the third quarter, had a lead at the half that went away, and they lose this game by 9, and now they are in a dogfight of a series. No doubt about it. This one gets evened up 2 apiece, and we'll see what Detroit tries to do to switch things back up as they head back to Detroit for Game 5 of this series. Always funny to me to think about it. The MLB does 2-3-2 for their best-of-7 series, 2 games in the higher seed, 3 games in the lower seed, and then 2 more at the higher seed. So in theory, you get 2 chances to close it out at home if you're the better seed in a best-of-7 in the MLB. Some think that's not, the best-case scenario for how the things to do it. It obviously eases up on the travel. The thing in the NBA, while you do have what's maybe a little more fair way to do it with 2-2, 1-1-1, you're traveling back and forth between Games 5, then Game 6, then Game 7 if it happens, and that can, throw some things off as well. You also usually get a day or 2 extra off in there, but with this Cleveland and Detroit series, that is not the case. They will play Wednesday for Game 5. They'll play Friday for Game 6, so only 1 day to travel in between, and then Sunday for Game 7. So your travel day is your only off day, and you're playing the next one. So that is something to keep in mind. Detroit, maybe the younger team, does that factor in at all? James Harden's in his mid to late 30s. Does the travel burden become more difficult for one team as opposed to the other? I don't know, just something to point out that I thought was unique about the way the schedule happened. The nightcap last night was Oklahoma City over the Lakers, 115-110. This was a very, very good basketball game, though, start to finish, and I watched the majority of it. And I really enjoyed watching LeBron and company try to do this again. The Lakers did not play incredibly poorly in this series, if I'm being honest. The Lakers had the lead at the half in, 3 of the 4 games. They didn't have Luka at all, of course. We know that part of it. Last night it was Austin Reeves. Rui Hachimura was really good as well. LeBron was doing what he could. There was a couple moments in this game. Chet Holmgren, I thought, made a big difference. 16 and 9, but a couple of those plays underneath where the Lakers were basically like, we can't play Jackson Hayes a ton of minutes. Like, what are we going to do? And they still probably played Jackson Hayes more than they wanted to. He played 17. Now, he had 18 points. I don't know if Jackson Hayes ever had 18 points in a playoff game. Shout out to him for that, former New Orleans Pelican. But there were just some matchups that were a problem. But ultimately, SGA has 35 in this game. And, A.J. Mitchell had the contributing help for him with 28. The Thunder just have so many different guys they can get it from. I know that sounds like a broken record. We've said that before, but it's really just the truth. But then they also have the go-to superstar to get it to when they need a bucket. Couple stretches in the third quarter where the defense turns into offense for OKC. They'll do that to you at different stretches in a game. And I do have to say, despite the fact that I felt the Lakers were, competitive in this series, I enjoyed watching them. It still did feel at times like the Thunder were toying with them a little bit, right? Like having the lead for the Lakers, 3 of these 4, and being right in these games in the second half in the majority of them, and then, OKC stretching it out. Keep in mind the final margins. Despite the fact that I felt basically all these games were close in stretches. 18 points in the first game, 18 points in the second game, 23 points in the third game, and then they do hold it. It was a 5-point game. Lakers had a couple possessions late with a chance to, tie, take the lead, or cut it down to 1 possession, and they just couldn't do it. This is a Thunder team now who has rolled through the playoffs to this point. They now sweep their first 2 series. They are 8-0. We do expect them to get challenged more in the Western Conference Finals, whether that be by San Antonio or Minnesota, with that series, of course, fully up for grabs, tied at 2 apiece. We'll get Game 5 tonight. But it is still hard to imagine a team beating the Thunder 4 times in these playoffs. I'm not saying I'm putting them down as a lock, but it is going to be hard for it to be pulled off, and we'll see if anybody's up for the challenge. As I said at the beginning of this series, I was trying to take a little bit of time and say, you know what, this could be it for LeBron. We don't think it is. We think he's going to be back next year, but this could be it. Let's enjoy it. Let's watch this all-time great play, and let's enjoy it. And I did. And he didn't win any games in the series, and I still felt like, you know what, that was fun to watch LeBron go at it again. Will he be back in L.A.? Will he be somewhere else? Does he go to Cleveland for a retirement tour in the hometown? Does he go to a spot that's maybe built to win a championship next year, or at least contend to do so? Does he pull a Kevin Durant, sign with OKC for 1 season? I don't know. I don't know what LeBron's going to do next year. But if it was the end, which I don't think it was, but if it was, he's still doing it at a high level. I mean, it's incredible to watch a guy at his age who's got as much mileage and wear and tear on his body continue to play at a high level. Obviously, he's not the best player in the world like he once was for a very long time, but he's still fun to watch, no doubt. All right, tonight, as I mentioned, you get a couple more. You get an important Game 5, a pivotal Game 5, some might add. Actually, no, only one game tonight because, yeah, that's right, Cavs and Pistons are off tonight. They play tomorrow. So San Antonio and Minnesota, 7 o'clock tip in San Antonio. Spurs are 9.5-point favorites. They get Wembanyama back. No suspension to worry about, all that stuff. The Wolves had a gutsy performance. We'll see how they bounce back health-wise. Ant's going to play tonight, but, we've been keeping an eye on that knee. This should be a really good one. I'm surprised, honestly, that San Antonio is almost a double-digit point favorite because I think this one has the potential to be a little bit closer than that. And obviously, if Minnesota steals it, they've got a chance to close it out at home in Game 6. If San Antonio wins, then they'll have a chance to close it out on the road in Game 6. Game 7 would be back in the Lone Star State if we get to that point. All right, that'll do it for Locked In today. Little NBA to get your day started. Let's go ahead and take a timeout. When we return to the show, we've got a couple different things to get to. I think I want to start with just some PGA Championship info about the golf course in Aronimink. We're going to get to some Matt Deggs audio a little bit later on. So for now, let's take a break. Let's go PGA Championship on the other side. It's the Lowdown.
This is the Lowdown with D'Lo, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
May is Military Appreciation Month, and ESPN 103.7 Lafayette, 104.1 Lake Charles, and Nolan's Lawnmower Sales and Service in I-49, off I-49 in Karen Crow are honoring our military all month long. Nolan's Lawnmower Sales and Service owners Stacy and Dawn Benoit would like to take this opportunity to recognize all our current service members, veterans, and families. Nolan's takes pride in recognition of all military as well as first responders with special discounts on their zero-turn mowers. May is Military Appreciation Month, and we salute you. Powered by Nolan's Lawnmower Sales and Service and ESPN 103.7 Lafayette, 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana Sports Station.
From Tiger Stadium to the Texas state line, ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is your home for live and local sports talk in Southwest Louisiana. We're your official home for the LSU Tigers and Houston Astros. ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles also tackles the latest involving the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, McNeese Cowboys, and New Orleans Saints. So keep it locked right here. ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It's May, and spring is finally here. A time of growth, renewal, and hope. And what better time to kick off Mental Health Awareness Month? Johnwell Therapeutic Services are proud to highlight May as National Mental Health Month. Remember, it's okay to ask for help. Reach out to a friend, family member, or professional if you need support. It's okay to take things one step at a time. You're not alone. Johnwell Therapeutic Services, proud supporters of National Mental Health Month.
Attention first responders, police officers, firefighters, military and former military personnel. If you have an acre or more of grass to cut, Skag Zero-Turn Mowers would like to thank you by offering you a special discount with their Simply the Brave First Responders program. Save big money on the industry's top-rated zero-turn mower at Nolan's Lawnmower in Karen Crow. Nolan's can offer well-qualified buyers 0% financing for 48 months. Come by Nolan's Lawnmower at 3547 Northwest Evangeline Thruway and check out the full line of Skag Zero-Turn Lawnmowers.
Acadiana area businesses. Is it time to make an impact? Time for more traffic, more engagement, time for more customers? Then it's time to make a splash with Bass. Bass is now offering digital marketing, indoor and outdoor digital signage, billboards, and video production to help you reach more customers and close more business. For over 30 years, Bass has helped our customers tell their story. Bass Companies. Remember, a business without a sign is a sign of no business. Advertise with Bass. Find us around Acadiana or at bassltd.com.
Every weeknight, MeTV has your laugh therapy.
To chase away the blues or the olive drabs.
With 2 hours of MASH at 5.
This guy's ankle has tickled my funny bone.
Followed by the Andy Griffith Show at 7.
Doggone it, Otis. He's supposed to be hugging me when I'm arresting you.
But he likes you, Bart.
Weeknights on MeTV.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB. Over the air on Channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry. No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices. To learn more, visit govote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
This is ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, broadcasting live from the Beal and Hebert studios in Upper Lafayette. Beal and Hebert, Acadiana's hometown lawyers. Back to more of Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Alrighty, we have some tee times rolling out for the PGA Championship. It is golf's second major. I am excited for it because I'm going to be there, but obviously it has some major notice regardless. So we've got just a handful of the featured groups have come out so far. So Scotty Scheffler, obviously world number one, heavy favorite betting-wise going into this tournament. He's going to be playing with Matt Fitzpatrick and Justin Rose. They will be off at 2:05 on Thursday. I think, by the way, all these times are Eastern. So 2:05, which is 1:05 here on Thursday, 8:40 a.m. on Friday. That's a pretty good trio right there. Rory McIlroy, Jordan Spieth, and Jon Rahm are all together. They go out at 8:40 on Thursday, 2:05 on Friday. So they basically have the inverse tee times of Scheffler, Fitzpatrick, and Rose, morning early and then afternoon on Friday. Cameron Young's playing with Keegan Bradley and Justin Thomas. They're off at 1:54 on Thursday, 8:29 on Friday. And then the last one we know about right now is Xander Schauffele's going to be playing with Brooks Koepka and Tyrrell Hatton. They'll go off at 8:29 on Thursday and 1:54 on Friday. A couple notes just from what I love watching. Live From is a show. If you're a Golf Channel person, you may have seen it before. It is they do live from the PGA Championship. They do live from the Masters. They do live from the U.S. Open. But Live From is like the base name of the show, right? And so they basically get on site and they, have a bunch of guests and they're talking about it. Brandel Chambly and the guys are up there. But it gives you a really good feel for kind of the environment and the atmosphere, and it builds as the week goes on. So I was watching a good bit of it yesterday. I also had a chance to take a look at this course. I've got the latest PGA 2K video game, has Aronimink on there. This is a course that's going to be interesting. Rory also had some comments today where he said, basically there's not a whole lot of strategy off the tee, implying that you just hit driver as far as you can, and then you figure it out from there. I will say, when you're talking about a major championship, I like it when majors are tests of golf, right, and really challenge these players. I don't love the idea that it sounds like a lot of these guys are just going to be hitting it as far as they can and then figuring it out from there. But what I do know about Aronimink is the big thing with this course is the slope of the greens and is the speed of the greens. Now, we'll see how firm it gets. I know there's supposed to be a little bit of rain earlier in the week up in the Philly area. Sounds like it's going to be mostly dry throughout the weekend, so maybe that is an opportunity for them to firm up. Now, it's not going to be like 95 degrees the way it would be potentially around here this time. I think it's going to be in the 70s and then maybe get into the 80s by the time the weekend rolls around. But it is worth noting, this feels like a golf course that's going to be a lot about the guys who can roll the rock on the greens, who have the short game dialed in, who can hit some of these little wedges, and who can hit the ball down a long ways and then find a way to, maybe recover if they do miss the fairway. If they're in the rough, can they find a way to still put a ball in a competitive spot and really play the contour of these greens? So I am excited to see how that's going to go. Should be pretty interesting, kind of to see what this ends up looking like and who's in charge of it. I did take a look. So the betting favorites for this tournament overall, obviously, Scotty is the betting favorite almost anywhere you go right now. But CBS Sports had this list published, so that's who I'm going off of. I know odds can vary from site to site. Scheffler is plus 480. He's got almost half the odds there, at least numerically, that Rory has. Rory's plus 850 and is your second favorite. Then Cam Young at a plus 1,200. Jon Rahm at plus 1,500. And then you have a bunch of players kind of bunched up after that. Schauffele plus 1,600. Remember, Schauffele is a former PGA champion himself. Ludwig Oberg at plus 1,800. Matt Fitzpatrick and DeChambeau both 2,200. Fleetwood at 27. Koepka at 33. Cantlay at 35. And the list obviously goes on and on and on. And then from there, you have some huge odds. If you wanted to know the very worst odds in this tournament, there's actually a ton of players tied at plus 100,000. Michael Block is in that list. Of course, if you know about Michael Block, PGA professional, he's not a tour pro, but he's qualified for the PGA Championship like 7 or 8 times now. He had the famous hole-in-one. He played with Rory a few years back. It was a big deal. He has qualified once again. Padraig Harrington, obviously a former major champion, has these very, the high odds of plus 100,000. Brandt Snedeker, who just won last week again on tour, has the same odds. So you go all the way down the list. It's always fun to look at this stuff and think, man, if somebody has a week. But, of course, many of the favorites have far less odds than all that stuff. So, with all that being said, it's definitely going to be exciting, interesting to see how the rest of the week plays out. We'll see some other tee times, I imagine, get announced here in the near future. And then we'll get ready to roll. We'll have our friend Chris Fissaro will be joining the show tomorrow. He is on the grounds up there, part of the team that puts this great tournament on. So he will join us to give us some more insight on the event itself. That'll be tomorrow's show at 1:30. For now, though, let's go ahead and take a time out now. When we return, our friend Kevin Foote will join us. We will be talking Cajuns baseball. We'll be talking a little bit of the Astros as well, maybe a Saints question or two. We'll catch up with Kevin after the timeout. This is The Lowdown, ESPN Southwest Louisiana Sports Station.
This is The Lowdown with D-Lo, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Our friends at Small Sliders of Lafayette have 2 locations here in the area. They're not hard to miss, or they are hard to miss. Easy to find, I guess is a better way to put it. With the orange, you'll be able to see it if you drive past Ambassador Caffrey or across from Our Lady of Lourdes Stadium on Bertrand Drive. I've told you about my go-to, which is the newest item, which is the barbecue bacon jalapeno slider. But remember, they've got everything that you're looking for. Fresh, never frozen, cooked-to-order cheeseburger sliders with melty cheese, crisp pickles, and their signature small sauce, smoss they call it, on a perfectly toasted bun. You get the waffle fries on the side. Got to get a cup of their white queso as well. It's hot, it's fresh, and it hits every time. Make your day a small bit better by visiting a location near you. We told you where the ones are here in Lafayette. Slide through, order online, tell them D-Lo sent you. You won't regret it.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit B1Bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The Houston Astros lost their third game in a row when they fell 3-1 to the Seattle Mariners last night in Daikin Park. Peter Lambert had a solid start on the mound for Houston, going 7 innings, allowing 6 hits, 3 earned runs with 6 strikeouts. The Astros will try to even up the series tonight in Game 2, and it'll be Brian Wu for the Mariners versus Tetsuya Imai for the Astros. First pitch is at 7:10 p.m. tonight, and you can listen to it on our sister station, News Talk 98.5 FM. Around the AL West, the Cleveland Guardians took down the Los Angeles Angels 7-2, and the Arizona Diamondbacks beat the Texas Rangers 1-0. With those results, the Athletics still sit atop the AL West standings, with Seattle now 2 games back, and the Angels and the Astros tied in last place at 6 games back. And last night in the NBA playoffs, the Cleveland Cavaliers evened up their series with the Detroit Pistons at 2 games apiece, with last night's 112-103 win in Cleveland. Donovan Mitchell was on fire for the Cavs, putting up 43 points with 5 rebounds and 2 assists. Now the series will move back to Detroit for Game 5 on Wednesday night. And the Oklahoma City Thunder completed a clean sweep of the Los Angeles Lakers with a 115-110 win in LA last night. SGA led the way for the Thunder with 35 points and 8 assists. And now the Thunder will wait for the winner of the Minnesota Timberwolves and San Antonio Spurs series, who will play Game 5 tonight in San Antonio. The series is tied up at 2 games apiece, and tip-off is at 7 p.m. tonight in the Frost Bank Center. I'm Blake Persher, and you're listening to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Your home for the LSU Tigers and the Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit B1Bank.com to find a location near you. ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Road coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Iserloh. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
Did you know you can get great tasting Clear Springs artesian water delivered to your office or your doorstep at home? Clear Springs is 100% local with their own bottling facility at the world-famous Kentwood Aquifer, no chemicals added. Just pure Kentwood, Louisiana artesian water. Clear Springs Water offers delivery of 5 or 3-gallon water service with a hot and cold temperature water cooler or even single-serve bottles delivered to your home or office. Easy to reach, clearsprings.net, then contact us tab or 337-519-3563.
Black's Outdoor Marine is Acadiana's Spartan Mower headquarters. Spartan Mowers delivering more mowing power and performance. Black's has commercial and residential Spartan mowers with Kawasaki motors in stock now and ready to cut. Black's also has parts, service, and financing available. Call 337-233-4272. That's 337-233-4272 or stop by 1423 Northwest Evangeline Thruway in Lafayette. Black's Outdoor Marine serving Acadiana since 1968.
MeTV is America's #1 classic entertainment television network. And here's one of the reasons everybody loves MeTV.
Oh, it's a classic.
The great comedy lineup on weeknights.
This will be fun. Come on.
With MASH.
Loaded with snappy comebacks.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I was just funning with Barney.
And Everybody Loves Raymond.
Now we got a show.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry. No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices.
To learn more, visit govote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
We are Lions International, the world's largest service organization. We are volunteers committed to strengthening our communities and supporting those in need, one act of kindness at a time. For more than a century, Lions have been serving a world in need, right here in our community and around the world. Lions International makes the impossible possible. This is your invitation to join us, because the only thing missing from our mission to make a difference is you. Visit lionsclubs.org to find a local Lions Club near you.
Do yourself a favor and download the free ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app, powered by Moss Motors BMW for your Android or Apple devices. Download the app by searching ESPN 1037 Lafayette or ESPN 1041 Lake Charles. It's just that easy to take Southwest Louisiana's sports station with you wherever you go.
All right, we return on the lowdown. Our friend Kevin Foote joins us, of course, the host of Footnotes, weekdays 9 to 11 a.m. right here on this same station. Kevin, how's it going, man?
Oh, it's kind of pins and needles today. You know, I've been saying on my show that tonight might be the biggest May game in the history of the Astros franchise. So
yeah,
we'll see how it goes tonight.
No, I'm glad you started with that. Let's unpack that statement a little bit. Give me your rhyme and your reason for why that is the case.
Obviously, you want to win, but it really has nothing to do with winning. I mean, it has to do with what is the if he goes out, if Imai goes out and just looks as completely clueless and bewildered as he has all but one of his outings so far. I mean, even his minor league rehab starts didn't go well at all. What is the chance at that point that he's going to be able to contribute much this year? And so when you talk about a franchise that most people are thinking, okay, you just had this incredible glory, 8 or 9 year stretch, and now you're fixing to head, back down again, and you've not won a whole lot of games since the middle to late July last year with your little AAA lineups you're putting out there every day, and you got a GM that could be fired and a manager that could be fired. If he goes down, then sometimes when things start heading in the wrong direction, it's hard to stop them. I think this is as big as any May game they've ever played.
I guess my counter is more like we'd really have to evaluate the rest of the May games all time. I'm not sure I'm, feeling in the mood to do that particularly, but I mean, you really think that much is riding on this?
Well, I just think the whole outlook, I mean, I'm not saying that he's going to get fired just if he doesn't pitch well tonight. But
well, are you talking about Brown over Espada?
If you tell me that he could pitch well, he could pitch awful again tonight and turn it around in 2 weeks or a month, I'd be okay. Well, then I'm, exaggerating. But, I mean, he looks completely clueless. So it's like if he doesn't turn it around at all, now that they've given him some time off to think, and theoretically they've been working with him mentally and all of this, then I think after botching the trade deadline, I think it's a fireable offense for the GM if this guy's a total bust.
So you're talking more about Dana Brown than Joe Espada?
Yes.
So I did watch Peter Lambert deal again last night. Now, I know he gave up a few runs, and ultimately that wasn't enough because the Astros offense has kind of cooled off here. But where do they keep finding these guys, man? That is one of the things. Now, I know this one, we're not all roses and sunshine about it because they're 10 games below 500, but this is another example of a guy they just found. I mean, I didn't hear anything about this guy before the season started.
No, I agree, and I'm hoping – no, again, that was encouraging. I'm not – if you tell me they're not going to be healthy, then obviously they're just a cooked goose. But if they get reasonably healthier the rest of the way, I'm not as worried about the big picture for this season. But I mean, because I think he can be where Ronald Blanco was 2 years ago. and what Alexander was to a smaller extent last season. And so, and then you have Arrighetti, and if you get Hunter Brown back, and then if Burroughs can you don't need to be great, he just needs to be a major league pitcher, a legitimate major league pitcher, then you have a starting rotation to kind of do something with. I think defensively they're going to be fine unless they keep getting injuries. Offensively, they'll hit on the road for the most part, and they won't hit at home because they never hit at home, ever. And then you got to attack the bullpen, and we'll see what happens when Hader comes back. But if Pearson can just give them something in the middle, then you might actually have a major league team for the first time since like July really since like May of. You haven't had a major league team in about a year, to be honest.
Well, health-wise, I do agree with you on that. I actually don't think there's any doubt. As I said before, I wrote about it when I wrote the Carlos Correa blog. They broke the record for missed games on the injured list last year, and they've got to be threatening it again this year. They've got to be on pace for it.
Yes, it's just unbelievable, and that's another reason why you can't trade for a guy like Correa. He's always hurt. It wasn't when he's going to go out this year. It wasn't if he was going to go out this year. It was when. That trading for him it still boggles my mind how stupid that was.
Okay, aside from that, is it not fascinating that of all years for this to feel like it's, a crumbling down, like let's see how bad it gets, right? But if they get this back to respectability, which you and I both think is possible, if they get some guys back, they could find their way back up near 500. This looks like a year, and who knows what'll change. I know you don't even look at the standings till June. This looks like a year where 84 wins could potentially win this division, though. Like, if you find a way to be respectable, you're going to have a shot.
Well, yeah, and all you got to do is get to 500, sometime in September, you're right in the wild card race. So, again, it's way too early to worry about all that stuff. But if you don't get healthy, nothing good is going to happen. And part of that is Imai's mental health. Like he can't, if he's just a mental midget, then it's never going to work.
Well, and clearly, I have seen, by the way, some of the stuff, and I'm sure you've seen it as well. It sounds like, a few of the things that came out about what he said probably got lost a little bit in translation, right? And just a language barrier of even though he was having it translated, like it probably wasn't exactly how he meant for it to come out. Talking about like the meals and the eating thing. So let's just see. Let's just see if he's got a new lease on life tonight, and maybe.
What I'm saying is, if he goes out and pitch like he did in his second game, some people have forgotten that his second game was outstanding. But
yes,
if he goes out and has a good a good outing and they win, that just totally changes the outlook of everything. But if he goes out and he walks 7 in his first 3 innings, and they got to pull him in the second or third inning, and they get beat bad, that's it. I know it's just one game, but it's like, okay, where's the future path here? Like, a lot of pitchers are going to have to get healthy because now that's another guy you got to make up for, and you wasted all that money. And our GM's a complete idiot, apparently.
It is worth being concerned about. I get that part of it. All right, Kevin Foote is our guest. Let's switch it over to the Cajuns, Kevin. Speaking of, you talk about biggest game in May and all this other stuff. When's the last time a series at the Teague had this much on the line, in your opinion?
Well, they've had some big ones before. You remember what year was it they had to beat Coastal and they beat them? Well, of course, that was the conference tournament more than that wasn't a regular season game. But it's pretty big. You're right. That year they were at the end they had to win games, so they had some series that were pretty big, but. It's hard to find a bigger one. I'll say that, yes.
It's a Coastal team, too, that is really, they're fascinating to me. I felt like most of the year they were clearly the best team in the Sun Belt. And then all of a sudden, Southern Miss, by the way, is the team that, like, after the Cajuns beat them 2 out of 3, I guess they woke them up because they've been unbelievable since then. And so, we haven't talked a ton about them since that series just because, Cajuns already played them, whereas Coastal, we were still kind of forecasting ahead. But I'm really interested, and I have a guest coming on to start the second hour that covers Coastal, so I'll see if I learn more there. But just like, what their plan is for their pitching staff, because if you've noticed, like, they're bringing Fluky back slowly on purpose, but if they don't have him like back up to pitching legitimate, 75, 85, 95 pitches by the time the tournament gets here, Coastal could kind of be a mess in a regional. I had that thought when I was going through some of the way they've been using their pitchers.
I mean, he's pitched, 3 outings since he came back. He's got 7 innings in. He's given up 11 hits and 10 runs in 7 innings over 3 outings. He's thrown 24, 47, and 57 pitches. So like you said, they're kind of ramping him up. Now, that doesn't mean he can't come here and pitch great over the weekend. We all know that's possible. But yeah, and look, last year their team ERA was 3.22. Their team ERA right now is 5.19, essentially a full 2 runs higher than it was last year. That last year was above and beyond really good pitching, and so they're not quite at that level. So they are beatable, and Georgia Southern beat them, and ODU's a good team, but they're a 500 middle of the road team, and they beat them twice. So they're beatable, but they're also going to be angry and supposedly beatable, and wanting to get a little retribution. So we'll see how that plays out.
Do you get the sense? So I'll bring this up to you. Jay made a comment on Monday to me that I hadn't thought about yet that actually had me feeling entirely differently about the whole at-large situation, which I know has a lot of variables still left to figure out. Texas State could be a problem because Texas State's now playing well enough that they're right back in the conversation. They actually have you by RPI by 5 or 6 spots, even with a Coastal series. Now, if you win 2 out of 3 against Coastal, maybe that allows you to jump too much, but I'm not sure it does because it's only a quad 2 series now with Coastal's RPI in the mid-20s. You have a head-to-head sweep loss to Texas State, and if they're looking down and they're making their selections for teams number 63 and 64, and they see Texas State, another Sunbelt team that has you in RPI by a bit and has a head-to-head sweep over you, that could be a really bad situation for the Cajuns to be in, and there's not much they can do about it at this point.
You're right. I just wish a win over Southern Miss and a win, like, say, over Coastal mattered as much as a midweek loss does to UNO. I just wish they could figure out a way where that was the case, but it's not the way it really works if their RPIs are too low. And I just don't feel like midweek games should count as much. But again, I've never liked how any of this stuff is done, and I'm so glad the Saints and Astros don't have to go through that kind of junk. But no, you're right. It's a problem with Texas State. No question. Look, they knew that when their RPI dropped, whatever it was, 9 or 10 points, that it was bad. That's why it was so bad. And I mean, do they worry about the standings at all, or is it just totally about the RPI in those comparisons?
Well, that's the interesting thing to me also, and I know you really can't compare softball and baseball because they're different committees and they use different criteria, but like you saw ULM as the champs of the regular season knock it in when Marshall did, which I thought was a little silly, but the metrics liked Marshall a lot better. Yeah, I'm with you though. And like that's why I felt like finishing above 500, and now like, even if they lose 2 out of 3, they'll finish at 500 in the league, which I still do think is a bigger deal. Like it's better than finishing below it. So like if you get swept, then I mean, obviously at that point we don't think they're really having that conversation anyway. But if they found a way to get 2 out of 3, not only is it another ranked team that you beat, it's also finishing above 500 in the league standings, and you're setting yourself up for a better week in Montgomery potentially as well. Like that stuff to me, that's why I can't imagine this being a series that had more on the line, other than maybe if you were playing for a regular season title against them, but that's about it.
Yeah, and the other thing that should matter, if you understand baseball, is like they would have, if they win a series this weekend, they will have won the series against the top 4 teams in the conference.
Right.
I mean, that should matter some, but I don't know that will.
It is interesting. I saw them still on first 4 out on Baseball America's latest projections. I tend to trust D1 baseball a little bit more. I don't have data to back that up. I just feel like they've been more spot on it in the past. I remember the year that the year that they got in after they made the championship game, because I remember feeling doubt. Like, I was like, man, everybody, and Kendall Rogers was like, the Cajuns are in. I'm not even concerned about it. And I was like, man, I guess so. And he was right that year. So I tend to wait until he says something. But no, it's going to be interesting, and it should be a really, really good weekend of baseball. And I don't know. Oh, by the way, I have to end the conversation with this, Kevin. We both, and I already mentioned on the air, you and I spoke after Daggs made his comments after the UNO game, and thought to ourselves, he must have just been kind of frustrated after the loss, right? Clearly, that is not the case. He doubled and even tripled down on this whole changing the ballpark thing. Now, look, we talk about budgetary things. Do they really have the money to move the fences in this offseason? I don't know, but it does not sound like that was a frustrated thought after the game. What did you make of him bringing it back up the other day?
Well, I mean, again, obviously, when you hear something 3 or 4 times, it's on his mind. Blake suggested that maybe it's a kind of a combo. If while we're doing this clubhouse thing, that if you're going to do it, you got to do it in association with the finishing off the whole clubhouse concept that they've been trying to get done. And so maybe that those two go hand in hand. I hadn't really thought about it till he said that. But I give to you the number 69. They've given up 69 homers this year. Like, how many do you want to give up?
I get it. No, and it is, but it also, that's a very this team specific stat, right? That hasn't been like, I mean, again, the guy who's on the staff, J.R. Tollett, never gave up any, and then all of a sudden this year he gave up 100 of them.
That's fair. I'm just not a fan. But there's so many facets to it. I talked about it on my show this morning. The recruiting comes into it, like. But that recruiting thing even goes both ways. I can imagine it's easier to recruit a hitter if you're going to move the fences in. But is it more difficult then to recruit? Can you not better recruit a pitcher if the fences are back?
Oh, the other thing, and like you said with Blake, and maybe there's a couple different ways to look at it. There are other things you can do, but like the big picture thing is the direction the ballpark is built is the wind's going to blow in. Like, you're not going to change. I mean, unless God's got some plans to help you out. You're going to still be facing it. So if you move the fences in by 15 feet across the board, sure, I get, your warning track shots are getting out now, but you're still going to have a place where the ball doesn't carry very often because the wind always blows in the spring into the summer, so I don't know how much they really could do.
Yeah. Again, I'm a fan of putting pitching over hitting, but he's an offensive guy and I get that too. And, maybe there's some recruiting stuff with it that we haven't put enough emphasis on. They're going to have to prove to me this is a good idea, because my first and second and third reaction is it's not a good idea.
I am with you. I am with you on all three of those. I'm also willing, as you are, to listen in and see what the further details of it would suggest. Okay, it should be a lot of fun this weekend, Kevin. Enjoy it, and we'll talk to you next week. I guess I'll talk to you on your show tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thank you.
It's Kevin Foote, host of Footnotes. I will return the favor. We'll do a little home and home this week. I'll be back on Footnotes tomorrow morning, 10:15 usually, when we do that segment. All right, we'll take a timeout now. We will switch gears. Look, we got some tragic news into the show a little while ago. I was kind of waiting to make sure it was all legit before I said it. We'll share that with you. Some really, really bad news out of the NBA. We'll close the hour with that and an update on the poll question. It's a lowdown.
This is the Lowdown with D'Lo, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station. ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is your home for the Houston Astros.
And the Astros stun the Mariners.
Hunter Brown, Yordan Alvarez, and the rest of the Astros are looking to get back to the postseason. You can listen to every pitch, hit, and thrilling victory of the Houston Astros.
Incredible!
As Robert Ford and Steve Sparks will be on the call. Tune in this season for live Astros baseball on Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Everybody's talking about the big, beautiful bill, and it's game-changing for taxpayers. Hi, this is Kerry Bryson with the Bryson Law Firm. We've read the bill, and if you've been putting off a tax problem, it's time to call the Bryson Law Firm and get it resolved. This new legislation could give you a chance to get things straight with the IRS. Whether it's getting caught up on unfiled returns or negotiating IRS debts, there are a lot of new deductions and opportunities in the big, beautiful bill, and the Bryson Law Firm knows how to use them strategically. We've been staying on top of the tax changes in the Big Beautiful Bill, and we're ready to help our clients take full advantage. So if you owe back taxes or haven't filed returns in years, it's time to call the Bryson Law Firm and finally resolve your tax issues. Remember, if you have tax problems, you have legal problems. Call the Bryson Law Firm. Our headquarters are in Lafayette, and we have offices statewide. Or visit BrysonLawFirm.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm. The Bryson Law Firm, LSP filing number LA2519079.
This is Law Enforcement Week, and we are proud to salute those who protect and serve our communities every day. Powered by Service Chevrolet Cadillac and Delta Media Corp., we will be out delivering cookie trays and sweet treats to local law enforcement agencies as a small thank you for a big job well done. This includes our wildlife and fisheries officers, jailers and corrections officers, probation officers, and all who serve in the law enforcement arena. To every one of you, thank you for your service, your sacrifice, and your commitment. We salute you this week and every week. May is Military Appreciation Month, and ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles and Nolan's Lawnmower Sales and Service in Carencro will be honoring our military all month long. Nolan's is locally owned and supports our military community every day. We honor and salute because freedom isn't free. May is Military Appreciation Month, and we salute you. Powered by Nolan's Lawnmower Sales and Service in Carencro and ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles.
Ready to transform your backyard into the summer paradise you've always dreamed of? With Duplessis Builders custom gunite pool packages, we make it simple to own a stunning, long-lasting, in-ground pool built just for you. Choose from classic designs, all customizable to fit your space, style, and budget. Our pools come with quality finishes, energy-efficient equipment, beautiful lighting, and professional installation from excavation to decking, so you can dive in before the next heat wave hits. Don't just dream it, build it. Visit DuplessisBuilders.net.
Back to the sports talk you not only want, but need. This is ESPN, 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Some really sad news coming out of the NBA this afternoon that's obviously pretty shocking as well. Brandon Clark, 29-year-old forward for the Memphis Grizzlies, has passed away age 29. Clark was played in just 2 games this season, but has enjoyed a 7-year NBA career. Was 4th in the Rookie of the Year voting back in 2019, 2020. Spent his entire career so far with the Memphis Grizzlies. And so obviously there's not a whole lot of information about this as of now. I think his agent made this announcement. The team has confirmed it. Multiple sources over at ESPN that he has passed away. There are not any public details about what happened, and obviously I'd rather not speculate at all. So not exactly sure what happened, but this is a difficult one to stomach for the NBA world. Clark played college basketball at Gonzaga. He was a couple-time all-conference selection, and as I said, was a 7-year NBA vet, was active in the league as recent as this year, and he has passed away at the age of 29. So certainly a surprise and some difficult news to hear when we're talking about all the excitement of the NBA playoffs, the NBA draft lottery, and all that other stuff. Some very bad news that ended up coming along with it today. Our poll question of the day we have not introduced just yet. ESPN 1037 in Lafayette, 1041 in Lake Charles on our social media channels. We asked you today, will you or did you or will you read the Vanity Fair article on Lane Kiffin? Back to, by the way, officially back to poll question results not working right now. I knew there was something to the PGA posted something the other day and gave 4 answer choices, and there was like 3 votes on the entire poll. And I was like, and the PGA has a few more followers than us. So clearly it's not just an ESPN Southwest Louisiana thing. It's a Twitter thing. Elon's got to get it figured out. I'll make my call to him at some point. We'll see if we can get that rocking and rolling. But for now, still poll problems. Anyway, I didn't read the whole article, but I've seen a whole bunch of snippets of it. I feel like I have read the whole article because everybody's been quoting it and saying different stuff about it. My instant reaction is I am not Lane Kiffin, clearly, and so I don't know if there's a lot of things that we would have in common here. But my point would be if I was Lane Kiffin, after the way everything went down, and Lane at least seemingly took the high road on a lot of the way out. Now, I understand the fact that Lane received probably very, very, very many hateful things that went his way, some of which probably were very unfair, and his family's had to deal with some of the repercussions of it as well. And all that stuff it sucks because sometimes people suck, right? They say hateful things, especially now they think they can hide behind a phone or a keyboard, and it's unfortunate. At the same time, I'm sure he didn't know exactly how the story was going to be told, but he sat down to do the interview for Vanity Fair, right? So he understood that this was going to be addressed. Why would you even leave it open for that, right? Why would you not just want to close this chapter of it? And so that's, I guess, my main question about the Kiffin comments. Does he have a right to say what he said? Look, I don't want to get into the specifics of it and what he feels about race relations in Mississippi and Louisiana and everything like that. I'd rather not have that discussion on this forum or really at any forum. But I just don't understand if you're Lane and now you're like, hey, you know what? It's all full steam ahead. We got the LSU Tigers rocket and rolling. We got Clemson. By the way, College Game Day, Pete Nakos reporting they're headed to Baton Rouge for LSU Clemson week 1. Everybody's going to be fired up. New era. Just worry about all that stuff, right? You got enough, the Lane train's rolling through Baton Rouge right now. You got enough baggage to figure out in Baton Rouge. Why are you still trying to have these other things come back up? And again, maybe he made the comment 3 months ago, never thought they were going to run with it the way they did in the article. I don't know all the answers to that stuff. It just feels like it was avoidable. Feels like it was an avoidable thing. And yet, in a way, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, right? That whole thing. Lane doesn't mind this type of stuff. I'd venture to say he kind of likes it a little bit, And so I guess that's just who he is. Just a little different than the way I would operate in that sense. But you know what? I'm not an NFL or a college football. I'm not an NFL coach either. NFL or college football coach, and certainly don't have the amount of skills and knowledge it takes to coach it at the level that Lane Kiffin does. So I guess that's just the difference between me and him. But that was my gut reaction. We talk about beating a dead horse, man. At some point, what else is going to happen? The game's going to happen. You're going to play Ole Miss. I don't know if LSU's going to win the game or if Ole Miss is going to win the game. Clearly, some people, that's going to be the biggest day in their lives for some people on these two fan bases. It's unbelievable that they're talking about tickets costing $10 million. But at the end, I saw somebody pose the question today. I don't know if it was an Ole Miss fan or an LSU fan who asked it, but they said, would you rather have tickets to LSU Ole Miss in September or to the national championship game with your team playing in it? People are considering one over the other. Anyway. That was kind of my reaction to the whole thing. So we've still got an hour to go. We're going to do all college baseball just about in the second hour. So we'll start it out with our friend Sam Widerhaft, who covers Coastal Carolina. We'll talk UL and Coastal with him. I've got audio from Matt Deggs. Then we'll have Micah Butel. Give me a fun second hour. Stay tuned. It's a lowdown.
Your Honor, I would like to introduce exhibit number 1.
MeTV is America's #1 classic television network.
There can only be one #1, me.
MeTV features over 60 of the greatest classic TV series each week.
Go with the winner.
Enjoy dramas, comedies, westerns, sci-fi, and more.
You just watch me.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on Channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
MeTV is memorable entertainment television.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry. No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices.
To learn more, visit govote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
Hey there, fellow travelers, it's me, the Hotel Whiz. Before you go anywhere, call me day or night for hotel rates too low to publish. I'll save you up to 75% on over 500,000 hotels across the globe. You see, I've already done the research, so you don't have to spend time online trying to find the best deal. That's up to 75% off. Just call me, the Hotel Whiz. It's a free call and you get instant access to rates too low to publish with no cancellation fees.
Make a free call now and save up to 75% off your hotel rooms the next time you're going somewhere for business or pleasure. Call the Hotel Whiz now and get instant access to rates too low to publish.
800-713-9924. 800-713-9924. 800-713-9924. That's 800-713-9924.
Live from Upper Lafayette, this is ESPN 1037 KLWB Carencro Lafayette, KLCJ-FM Oak Grove Lake Charles 1041, a Delta Media station.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news. Memphis Grizzlies forward Brandon Clark has died at the age of 29. No word yet on the cause of death. Clark was arrested back in April for speeding and possession of a controlled substance and was released on bond on April 2nd. Lakers president of basketball operations and GM Rob Pelinka and coach J.J. Redick held their end-of-season press conference today. They spoke on a wide variety of topics, including LeBron James, who was non-committal on his future last night. L.A. will allow James the time he needs, says Pelinka.
The thing we want to do more than anything else is honor him back. And I think the first order of business there is allowing him to spend the time he needs to decide what his next step are. Does he want to play another year in the NBA? Of course, any team, including ours, would love to have LeBron James on their roster. That's a blessing in itself, just with what he does.
Spurs host the Timberwolves Game 5, 7:30 Eastern, ESPN Radio Series 2-2. Second-round Stanley Cup playoffs, down 2-1. Sabres star goaltender Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen in Game 3 tonight against the Canadiens, 7 Eastern, ESPN.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Tuesday, it's NFL schedule release week, and I'll tell you my top 5 games I'm most excited about this upcoming season. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Dawson Iserlo prides himself on taking a deep dive to uncover all the relevant data about the sports and sports teams he loves. And now he's sharing all those facts inside his big brain with all of you. Here is the Lowdown with D-Lo on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is the Lowdown, ESPN 1037 in Lafayette, 1041 in Lake Charles. We are anywhere you are with the ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app and now streaming live on YouTube each and every day as well. The ESPN_SWLA YouTube channel. You can follow along with us over there as well. Great stuff in the first hour. So I said today's going to be a college baseball focused day, but first hour we actually did talk about a lot of other things. We just mentioned college baseball briefly. We had our friend Kevin Foote join us at 1:30. Now we are going to shift the focus and basically do all college baseball here in the second hour. So excited to do it. We've got Micah Butel coming up, College Baseball Central, in just about a half hour. I've got audio from Matt Deggs. He actually did mention moving the fences in, and I'll play you the exact clip so it's not just me summarizing what he said. We'll do that in just a little bit as well. But we start the second hour with our friend Sam Widerhalf, who is a part of Coastal Carolina Broadcasting team and has obviously seen this team play a whole lot this season. Sam, this is a pretty massive series coming up, man. But first off, how are you? Thanks for doing this, man.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Thanks for bringing me on. Doing well. Just getting ready for our final regular season broadcast of the year. We bring in the Citadel today at 6 o'clock Eastern time. So getting ready to send off the final home regular season ball game before, like you said, a really massive weekend coming up in Lafayette.
And that's ESPN Plus, right?
You got it. Yes, sir.
So there you go. For Cajuns fans who want to get a look at this team ahead of their trip in, you'll hear Sam and company on the call tonight as they face the Citadel in their last non-conference game of the year. A lot of talk, too, Sam, about canceling games like that and all those different things around the country. Now, this one, Citadel, I saw it earlier. They're not actually in that bad of a spot RPI-wise, but I did think it's cool that in today's day and age that both coaches decided, no, we're going to still play this game. I think that's good for the sport.
No, absolutely, and it's been a great in-state matchup. Coastal went to the Citadel earlier this year in late March and beat them in a really dramatic ball game with a couple of runs in the ninth inning. But, yeah, the Bulldogs stand really well in the RPI. They're a top 60 team right now. They've played some really good baseball as of late. So tonight really marks a chance for Coastal to gain some momentum back and get ready for just a really big weekend here in Sunbelt play.
Yeah, so talk to me about that, man. Obviously, a team that's in the national championship series a year ago, they bring back a ton of the talent. I know the pitching injuries just ravaged them early, but yet they really kind of weathered the storm of that. They kept things rolling. It was later on, even when they started to get a couple of those arms back, where the struggles have started. So what do you think has kind of happened with this team riding the waves and most recently struggling a little more than we're used to seeing?
Well, yeah, I think first off, I think, coming into this final weekend, a lot of teams would love to trade places with Coastal Carolina. A one-game lead in the Sun Belt standings, still playing for a spot to take that one seed into Montgomery. But it's been a really interesting season because in January, you take a look at this team on paper and so much talent returning on the pitching staff. A lot of guys brought in to help boost the lineup with so many of those guys from last year's run returning. Obviously just battered by injuries, right? You have a big All-American closer in Dominic Carbone go down, and he's out for the season. The guy you thought was going to be your Saturday starter in Hayden Johnson, who was incredible out of the bullpen last year, he's done for the season. And then Cameron Fluke starts opening day. He has a rib injury and is out for 2 months. And then some in-season injuries throughout the lineup as well. Trace Mazan, who was our best hitter at the DH spot early in the season, he goes down with a hand injury, and he's out for a month and a half. But just a remarkable job by our coaching staff throughout this season to piece the things together and continue to find the winning formula. And now at this point, I think it really starts on the pitcher's mound, right? And just not getting the starts that Coastal has wanted, and because of that, these relievers are having to pitch in some pretty long situations where, look, at the end of the day, Coastal's had to rely on a lot of young arms this year that don't have a ton of experience, and they're having to come in to bridge these ball games together. I think coming to this weekend, Coastal's really going to be looking at that pitching staff to step up and bring them some wins in these ball games. But still, the fact that Coastal has been a top 10 team for a majority of this season, despite all the adversity that's come their way, has really been a remarkable thing, and the Chants have faced a lot of adversity so far this year, but still are playing to take that one seed into Montgomery.
Cameron Fluke, we got to dive into it, right? So everybody knows what he did last season, and then the injury happened. He works his way back, and clearly you can see by the number of pitches and the way they've used him, they're trying to kind of ramp it back up. But it was actually really surprising. The first start back was fine, and then now he's actually had a couple in a row that weren't very good. I know the defense maybe didn't help him out the second time, but are they actually concerned with some of the numbers they're seeing, like velocity, working him back into this, or do they think he's just knocking some rust off and they feel good about it? What do you make of that?
Yeah, no concern at all. Kevin Schnall said, he said in the press conference last week that Cameron Fluke is the least of their concerns at this point. And it's tough. He compared it to like a Garrett Cole situation, right, where he gets to go and work back in Double-A in the minor leagues, get some rehab starts, and then he gets to join the Yankees pretty much fully healthy. Unfortunately for Cam, he's having to join this team in the middle of a really tight stretch and a really important part of this season where he's still trying to work his way back after missing about 2 months with this rib injury. So, he's a guy that's been really determined to get back out on the mound, almost kind of ramped up his recovery process to be able to join Coastal and be competitive and try and bring this team home a championship. And I actually talked with one of the scouts after his start on Sunday, and everything that makes Cameron Fluke is still there. The velocity is still there. The pitch shape is still there. Again, just working his way back after missing 2 months and just still trying to get in the swing of things. Unfortunately, just had a really important stretch of the season. So hoping for more longer outings from Cameron as this season goes on, and especially this weekend.
Right, that's the other thing I was going to say. Have they been clear about kind of, when they maybe could see him being back to full go, allowing a full allotment of pitches? Is that going to be the postseason, or are they going to still be careful with it, knowing that there's obviously a pro career waiting on the end of this for him as well?
I think knowing Cameron, he wants to go out there and give it his all for this Coastal team every single time he goes out. Now, they are, at this point in the season, being a little bit careful as far as his inning limits and pitch limits and just easing his way back into it. But, if it was up to Cameron, he'd go out there and try and throw 7 innings every single time. We're going to see what happens this weekend. He hasn't gone over 3 innings yet since his return. Are they still going to be careful with that this weekend? I'm not sure. We're going to see what happens. But these games are getting more and more important as the season goes on. And I think the hope is to have him a full go here for tournament time.
Sam Widerhaft is our guest, talking Coastal baseball here. Of course, they'll be at the Teague on Thursday as an early series start, 3-game set to finish out Sunbelt regular season play. Sam, this Coastal offense, we're used to maybe some of the really high-powered offenses in the past. They don't quite have those types of numbers. They love to run. They do a lot of things, and as a matter of fact, Matt Deggs kind of compared them to the Cajuns' offense, that they're trying to get a lot of the same things done. What's really been the MO for them when they're scoring runs this year?
Yeah, I see a lot of similarities between Louisiana and Coastal this year. But Kevin Snow has mentioned it throughout the past 2 years. It's just a mentality of being obsessed with getting on base, right? Led the country all last year, set a D1 record with over 170 hit-by pitches. Coastal is back in the nation's lead this year with over 120 hit-by pitches, so guys aren't moving out of the box, just trying to get on base, but they're stealing a lot more bases at a more rapid rate than they were last year. There's a bit more speed on this team. They're being more aggressive on the bases as far as moving guys over and producing runs. The problem the past few games has just been the situational hitting. I mean, those last 2 games against Old Dominion, Coastal was 4 for 22 with runners in scoring position. So hoping to pick that up here this weekend. But yeah, just a lot of contact-based. Coastal does have a nice power threat of Rex Watson and Jackson Weiner there in the middle of the order that have provided some big power for Coastal. But it's really just focused on contact and getting on base, moving guys over. And then the sacrifice bunts have been incredible this year, over 60 this season. That leads the entire country. So they're dropping them down. It doesn't matter who it is in the order. They're going to drop a bunt down whenever. So it's just been a lot of station to station and producing runs. I mean, throughout the season, you take a look at the offensive stats and nothing really jumps off the page, but Coastal's still winning ball games. So able to get the job done with what Coastal has had. And, for most part of the season, it's been pretty fun to watch.
You alluded to it a little bit, seeing the similarities in these teams. What do you make of this matchup? Obviously, given the fact that kind of everything's on the line here. Coastal still needs to win some games to wrap up a potential regular season championship, depending on what Southern Miss does, along with the 1 seed and the Cajuns playing to get back in the at-large consideration and to get seeding as well. I mean, this seems like it's going to be an awesome 3-game set.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's going to be a tough weekend. I know, Louisiana's picked off some really good teams, winning a series against Southern Miss, and winning a few series in a row here, stacking wins up at the right time of the season. That's honestly why I think tonight's so important for Coastal, is just getting back in that win column and just getting that winning feeling going into an earlier series Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But the thing I'm watching for Coastal here is just their starting pitching. They haven't had a quality start in the last 9 ball games. So Luke Jones, who I assume is going to set the tone on Thursday, looking to get him back to it and more efficient. Ross Norman, who's been the Saturday starter, a little inconsistent this year, but when he's on it, he's really, really strong. He's gone into the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings of ball games a few times this year. So I think that's going to be the main focal point, is just what Coastal can do on the mound to battle against a Louisiana team that really has a lot of the same similarities on the offensive side.
We've seen, and I know that the conversation around it's maybe changed with that last series loss. That was a surprise. But what is the thought process around what Coastal maybe needs to do the rest of the way to make sure a regional's played in their ballpark and that they don't have to travel?
Yeah, I think it's interesting just seeing all the chatter on Twitter and what people think, and what gets you to host a regional and what doesn't get you to host a regional. At the end of the day, we don't know until we know. But it's just continuing to win ball games and play Coastal baseball. And like I said, it was the situational hitting that kind of took a little bit of a dip against Old Dominion this past weekend. And credit to them, they came out with a few young arms that Shantz just couldn't figure out. And it was Ben Tanton in the Saturday game who came out for 5 innings of relief and was just unhittable. And that ODU team was able to put some good at-bats against the Coastal pitching staff as well, and had a few really good guys in the lineup that, were just able to battle. But, when it comes down to it, and Coastal needs to win these ball games here at the back end of the year, just situational hitting and rising to the opportunity. And some guys that maybe have underperformed the past few weeks, starting to pick things up and turn things around at the right time of the season. But, like I said, for Coastal to be in this situation, to be in first place heading to the last weekend of the regular season and to have a chance for a regular season title, I think is remarkable. Back in the first part of the year when all these injuries happened and the injuries that have happened throughout the season, you don't know where Coastal's going to end up. At some point, it was like, well, I just hope you keep your head above water and get to the Sun Belt tournament and hopefully have some guys come back healthy. But Coastal still continued to play well every single weekend and stack up wins and have an opportunity to take home another regular season title.
We can close it with this because I am interested in the conversation around it, Sam. There's been, a lot of talk about Coastal diving in and investing in college baseball, right? And the dividends of that were shown last year when they did what they did, which is not a given just because you pour some effort into it. But what has it been like to see the resources in this era, the pay for play, the ability to, if you want to really be competitive in a sport, you're probably going to have to invest in it specifically. What has that been like, and has that balance really shifted? Have you seen like a real emphasis on Coastal saying, you know what, we're going to be a baseball school. That's what this is going to be about.
Yeah, I'm a baseball guy at heart, right? So seeing Coastal have this much success has been really fun from my standpoint. The fans love it. There's so much support for this program, and that really started with Gary Gilmore, right? Coaching Coastal baseball for 29 straight years, a national champion in 2016. He really set a foundation and set a culture with this program that you're not going to find within too many programs throughout the country. And, it really was remarkable. A few days after the College World Series ends and Flukie posts that he's coming back, which I'm sure there was a lot of interest for a guy like him. But it just comes down to culture and what this coaching staff has preserved in this locker room. And then the investment from the athletic department as well. Chance Miller, our athletic director, understands how important Coastal baseball is, and you have a chance to win national championships with Coastal Carolina baseball. And, for a lot of schools at the mid-major level, it's not like that. So, it's been a tradition that's been building for years and years, and there's just so much support that Teal Nation has for Coastal Carolina baseball, and I expect it to be like that for a really long time.
It's going to be awesome to see how this series goes this weekend. Sam, appreciate your time. Best of luck on the call tonight. Look forward to watching along, and we'll talk again soon, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Looking forward to this weekend.
That's Sam Widerhaft, Coastal Broadcasting Team. You can hear him, as we mentioned, and see him on ESPN Plus tonight. Coastal plays the Citadel before they hit the road to come here to Lafayette for a 3-game series, Coastal and Louisiana, beginning on Thursday night. Speaking of which, I said this is a baseball hour on the show. That will continue. I've got a new Field of 64. It is fresh off the presses from our friends over at D1Baseball.com. We've got some notable things about that Field of 64. We've also got some audio for you from Matt Deggs. We'll play both of those at the after the break. This is the Lowdown.
This is the Lowdown with D-Lo, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
The Refinery Mission in Opelousas is an organization that provides emergency and transitional housing, addiction recovery, and reentry services for men. The Refinery Classic Golf Tournament is on Monday, May 18th at Farmdale Alley Golf Club in Carencro. The money raised from the event will benefit the nonprofit organization that has been helping men struggling with addiction and homelessness for more than 3 decades. The cost for a 3-man team is $400. That includes unlimited driving range, lunch, raffle tickets, and more. For more information, to register or serve as a sponsor, obviously you're running out of time because this event is in just 6 days. You can send an email to Johnny. The email address is Johnny, JOHNNY, at refinerymission.org. You can call or text him at 337-692-7988.
Hello, everyone. This is Jeff Palermo. Join us on Tuesday nights for Tiger Rag Radio. Myself, Todd Horn, and Glenn Gilbo give you the latest happenings in Tiger Town and across the SEC. We talk to coaches, analysts, and those in the know when it comes to the Tigers and the Southeastern Conference. We cover all the sports: football, baseball, basketball, softball, and gymnastics. That's Tuesday nights right here on ESPN 103.7 in Lafayette and 104.1 in Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It's May, and spring is finally here. A time of growth, renewal, and hope. And what better time to kick off Mental Health Awareness Month? John Well Therapeutic Services are proud to highlight May as National Mental Health Month. Remember, it's okay to ask for help. Reach out to a friend, family member, or professional if you need support. It's okay to take things one step at a time. You're not alone. John Well Therapeutic Services, proud supporters of National Mental Health Month.
Imagine building your dream backyard pool without ever leaving your couch. With Duplessis Builders, you can go shop our in-ground gunite pool packages online, start to finish. Browse our pool designs, compare features, see exactly what's included, and choose the package that fits your style and budget. Once you purchase, our team takes over. From permit and excavation to gunite decking and final startup, you click, we build, you swim. Your backyard upgrade is just a few clicks away. Visit duplessisbuilders.net and buy your pool online today.
You thinking trailers? Think Tibbs. Whether you tug it, tow it, or transport it, Tibbs Trailers is your headquarters for enclosed, flatbed, and hydraulic trailers. You won't find a better selection or a better price than right here. We've got the experts to repair or customize your trailer so it'll be ready for whatever you pull it through. Why would you go anywhere else when you can go to Tibbs Trailers? Now we're talking trailers.
Between Scott and Doosan.
New tax resolution firms are popping up every day. with high-paid celebrity endorsers advertising ridiculous claims in their TV ads. That's why they have the tiny, unreadable disclaimers at the bottom of the screen. Hi, this is Kerry Bryson with the Bryson Law Firm. Our ads never have those ridiculous, fast-talking, tiny disclaimers at the end because, simply put, there are no guarantees when it comes to the IRS and wiping out tax bills. And we don't make promises we can't keep. Of course, there are ways the Bryson Law Firm can help resolve your tax debt, but no company can guarantee it will eliminate it. This is why their clients call the Bryson Law Firm when those promises don't pan out. If you have tax problems, you have legal problems. Call the Bryson Law Firm. Our headquarters are in Lafayette, and we have offices statewide. Or visit BrysonLawFirm.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Bryson Law Firm. LSBA filing number LA2518447.
You're listening to the 2026 LAB Award winner for Radio Young Professional of the Year, Dawson Iserlo, the host of The Lowdown with D-Lo on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
This ballpark levels the playing field a lot of times. It always has. I haven't spoken a ton about it. But if you look at that game on Tuesday, as poor as we played, there's 4 balls that are no doubt home runs in every other ballpark that we've played in this year. And that's the advantage when you are better than another team. That's the advantage that you should hold when they didn't hit any. And we hit 4 or 5, and those can cover up a lot of the mistakes and a lot of the sins, if you will, of the free passes. Now, not saying that's the reason we lost. I'm saying that's the gamble, that's the risk you run. And if you look at our history, that's happened to us before here. And so that's something that I really want to address this offseason. Is making the ballpark a little more fair, and because it plays big. It does. It plays big, and I think it'll be a little.
It is interesting, the thought process, as I mentioned there, of what it would potentially look like. So that was Deggs' exact words. I said yesterday I was going to play that, so I wanted to make good on that promise. He did have a couple other really interesting things to say. One of which is we always talk about the at-large stuff and the perspectives. And Coach Deggs is interesting because he's pretty honest, right? And so while he's talked about he's mapped out in his head, and he mentioned it yesterday or Monday, I should say, like what the difference is and how he's kind of planned once they were at 9 and 12 in the league. He kind of mapped it out and figured out what he thought they needed to go to get back into the mix and all that stuff. But he was asked about an at-large bid, and he said it pretty clearly, right? Their focus right now is still on the Sun Belt and the Sun Belt Conference tournament, not necessarily the at-large picture.
I'm not worried about a bid at all right now. I'm worried about getting in the conference tournament, and that's the way a good league should be. I remember coaching in the SEC, and the way you knew you were going to get a bid was you got in the conference tournament. And a couple of years for us, it came down to that. We won the SEC one year, but I can remember in 2003, man, we got in on the last day, and you get in, you go into a regional. And that shows the strength of this league, that a lot of people, and it's not predictions, it's forecasts. Prediction you stand by. A forecast changes day to day based on stuff. So it's just forecasts. A lot of people are still forecasting that we have a chance, right? Might be a chance of sunshine, might be a chance of rain, but you got a chance. I think that speaks to the strength of our league when we're not even in the tournament yet. We still have a lot of work to do. But I'm proud of the work we have done, starting Saturday against Southern Miss, carried it into Sunday. Troy could have been a great series for us. But it is one of those where you go on the road, you got a game. I think we'd all want to go back to Texas State and hold on to a 1-run lead with 2 outs in the 8th and say we got a game. And then, carry it on to Arkansas State. You get 2 out of 3. Sweet Georgia State. And then you're able to get 2 out of 3 this past weekend.
I've got a couple more. I want to get to some other things, though, so we'll play those if we have time at the tail end of the show on what Coach Degg said about this weekend, what he's looking forward to. But I did want to go through a little bit the NCAA Field of 64 projections from D1 baseball before we bring Micah Butel on, just so we've got a little extra information going into that conversation. They have the Cajuns first 4 out, and basically exactly what I mentioned being a little nervous about came to fruition here. They have Texas State in the last 4 in category. They have Louisiana in the first 4 out category. They have the Cajuns as the second team out behind Purdue. Texas State as the last team in the field. So I think D1 baseball in these projections is probably looking at it going Texas State, Louisiana, RPI favors the Bobcats, and a head-to-head 3-game sweep. Just hard to ignore it. So the Cajuns have to hope they can do enough to differentiate themselves ahead of Texas State, or get both teams in. Like if Texas State plays well as well and you also get in, you're both clearly in, then that'd be good as well. But it is worth noting. 4 to watch, Troy is in that category as well, by the way. So that would be, something if Troy gets in the conversation. Cajuns also don't have a series win against them either. So that's tough. Both those series were on the road, and that should be noted in these conversations. But that is certainly something to make note of. Right now, just for the record, Coastal would be a 2 seed in Morgantown, according to D1 Baseball. Southern Miss would be hosting as the number 9 overall national seed. And one other thing that was clarified by D1 Baseball that I asked about, and I asked Micah about this earlier, is will the committee still use regionality because they're seeding 1 through 32? And they clarified that there will be teams in ranges, right? So teams in the 29 through 32 range will be seeded against teams in the numbers 1 through 4 range. So they will give themselves a little regional flexibility based on where they send teams. That was something I had asked Mike about last time. We were kind of speculating on what we thought they'd do. Looks like the folks at D1 have gotten some clarification on how that process would exactly look. So speaking of which, let's talk to Micah Butel on the other side of the break, College Baseball Central, about where the Cajuns are at and where the rest of the world sits when it comes to college baseball. He also had another pretty cool trip as well to recap for us. All that next on The Lowdown, ESPN Southwest Louisiana Sports Station.
This is The Lowdown with D-Lo, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit B1Bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The Houston Astros lost their 3rd game in a row when they fell 3-1 to the Seattle Mariners last night in Daikin Park. Peter Lambert had a solid start on the mound for Houston, going 7 innings, allowing 6 hits, 3 earned runs with 6 strikeouts. The Astros will try to even up the series tonight in Game 2, and it'll be Brian Wu for the Mariners versus Tetsuya Imai for the Astros. First pitch is at 7:10 p.m. tonight, and you can listen to it on our sister station, News Talk 98.5 FM. Around the AL West, the Cleveland Guardians took down the Los Angeles Angels 7-2, and the Arizona Diamondbacks beat the Texas Rangers 1-0. With those results, the Athletics still sit atop the AL West standings, with Seattle now 2 games back, and the Angels and the Astros tied in last place at 6 games back. And last night in the NBA playoffs, the Cleveland Cavaliers evened up their series with the Detroit Pistons at 2 games apiece, with last night's 112-103 win in Cleveland. Donovan Mitchell was on fire for the Cavs, putting up 43 points with 5 rebounds and 2 assists. Now the series will move back to Detroit for Game 5 on Wednesday night. And the Oklahoma City Thunder completed a clean sweep of the Los Angeles Lakers with a 115-110 win in LA last night. SGA led the way for the Thunder with 35 points and 8 assists. And now the Thunder will wait for the winner of the Minnesota Timberwolves and San Antonio Spurs series, who will play Game 5 tonight in San Antonio. The series is tied up at 2 games apiece, and tip-off is at 7 p.m. tonight in the Frost Bank Center. I'm Blake Persher, and you're listening to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, your home for the LSU Tigers and the Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit B1Bank.com to find a location near you. ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Row coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Iserloh. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
Hello, Acadiana. Cajun Carts is your #1 full-service dealer for new, used, and custom golf carts. Perfect for on the job site, the neighborhood, or even out on the green. We are the only authorized dealer of American-made E-Z-GO and Club Car here in Acadiana. For all your service, sales, and mechanical repairs, we got you. So don't wait. Roll on over to CajunCarts.com or stop by our Lafayette location by the Jockey Lot and see why we've been Louisiana's golf cart headquarters since 2003. Cajun Carts. Why walk when you can ride?
Oh, look who's here.
Everybody Loves Raymond is on MeTV.
Who told you that?
Raymond!
America's #1 classic TV network.
Nothing even comes close.
Enjoy 2 back-to-back episodes every weeknight.
We're doing it twice.
Watch Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, it's all about you, Raymond.
Weeknights starting at 8 on MeTV.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard, aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
We are the NFHS. That stands for the National Federation of State High School Associations. But really, what we stand for, together with the LHSAA, are the 110,000 high school sports students in Louisiana. And so we stand. We stand for the runners, soccer, and basketball players. We stand for their coaches, administrators, and officials. We stand for the swimmers, football players, and wrestlers. We stand for the golfers, softball, and volleyball players. We stand as the national leader and advocate for high school athletics and all who participate in them and make them possible. Because it is our purpose to ensure that high school students get to play, perform, and compete together. To learn more about who we are and what we stand for, visit nfhs.org.
You know the routine. Eat, sleep, sports talk, repeat.
Well, up and at 'em. We're here.
Here is more daily sports talk from ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles.
Back here on the Lowdown Tuesday edition of the show rolls on. It's a college baseball focused second hour. And so to keep things going, our friend Micah Butel of College Baseball Central usually joins us on Thursdays. We do not have a show on Thursday due to Astros baseball. So he was kind enough to move his appearance up a couple days for us. Micah, what's going on, man? How you been?
I'm good. How are you, Dawson?
I'm good. I want a recap of this trip you took out west, Arizona State, everything you got to see, man. What really jumped out to you?
Yeah, no, it was really neat to go out there because I went to 3 places that have pretty rich baseball history. You know, obviously Texas Tech was a powerhouse in the early 2000s and even 2010s. Arizona State have won a combined, I think, 10 or 12 national championships, somewhere in that ballpark. And obviously one of the more winningest programs in college baseball history is Arizona State. So really neat to go out there. I mean, obviously as someone's a East Coast born guy and now lives in, like a central United States, right? The West Coast kind of gets forgotten about sometimes, and everyone says that, it's just, it used to be the baseball hotbed. And obviously it's not the SEC, but, really good fan bases. It was 105 degrees at first pitch at 2 of the 3 games I attended out in Arizona, so hot ones. But, it was really cool to get to experience some history. When I was at Arizona State, I got to do a lot of almost like a historical tour of that program, between seeing their old ballpark to there's an athletic employee who's literally his entire job is being a historian for the athletic department. So I got to hold the first jersey Arizona State ever wore, the lineup cards, and the official scorebooks from Arizona State's first national championship and most recent national championship. There's some really cool historical pieces that can just kind of remind you about how special the sport is as a whole.
Did your opinions about any of those teams change getting to see them in person?
Not really. I think if anything, my biggest opinion that I got was from an Arizona standpoint. I'm a little bit more worried about that program than I thought I was going into it, because Arizona is kind of doing the freshman recruiting development approach, and they're losing a couple key pieces. But like in the era of the portal, I always get really, really scared of that. Now, Chip Hale's a really good coach. Obviously, that program has history, and talking to and being around the guys, they seem to be still having fun playing baseball, even though they're 18 and 30 or some change like that. Like, but I was a little bit more. I thought it was going to be a lot more like, oh, like this is just peace of mind. Like, they're struggling, but they're young, but it's going to be fine. But obviously they played Houston this weekend, who I thought was the worst team in the Big 12, and they lost 2 of 3 at home to them. So maybe Houston's not the worst team in the Big 12. So that was probably the one, I guess, of those teams that took the most away from that. And just Texas Tech, I think, is better than maybe advertised.
The Cajuns had an interesting week because they dropped a midweek game to UNO that they didn't really have any business losing, but then they went on the road and took 2 of 3 to App State. Interestingly enough, they didn't really move in a lot of the projections, still right on the very edge of the bubble, and they actually did drop a couple RPI spots overall. Do you think that that team did more to help their cause or hurt it in a 2-2 week that included a series win but a bad midweek loss?
I would say hurt it, just because I think if you go 3-1 on the week, however that looks, that would have helped it, because App State's obviously in 3rd place in the league standings, but their RPI doesn't help you. And at this point, if you're Louisiana, no one's going to be like, oh, you beat the 3rd place team in the Sun Belt. You're trying to be that 3rd place team in the Sun Belt, like in terms of, that 3rd team in, because it obviously feels like there's 2 locks. And then it's probably going to be a 3-bid league, maybe a chance of 4, but I don't think that's super likely at this point. So again, that the RPI hit you take from New Orleans is drastically worse than what you got going to Boone, because now the App State is not even a quad 1 win anymore. Their RPI is 101. So even though it was a road series, it's top 100 for quad 1. So you don't get 2 quad 1 wins, you get 2 quad 2 wins, but you also got a quad 4 loss. So when you look at it that way, not great for the resume.
What do you think a series win over Coastal would do for that same conversation, given the idea that they'll then be in Montgomery the next week for the conference tournament?
So I was talking to a couple of our people that work at CBC, and I was saying that Louisiana has to go probably 4-2 the rest of the way. I know, again, when you say 4-2, you're like, oh, there's only 3 games left in the regular season. Well, that means you got to win. So either you got to go 3-0, and then you can just drop. You have to win 1 in Montgomery, and then you can tell you'd be 4-1, right? With that logic. Or actually, is it double elimination in the Sun Belt now?
So the first round, if you're 7 through 10, you got to play a single elim game. But if you get in the 18 bracket, it's double.
Yeah, so 4-2 from that standpoint, right? Or again, if you flip side it, you can beat Coastal 2 of 2, I guess, or 2 of 3, excuse me, and then you just got to go on a little bit longer of a run and win 2 in Montgomery. So basically, long story short, sweep Coastal, win 1 in Montgomery, beat Coastal twice, take 2 in Montgomery. I think you're in good shape. Again, I think the resume for Louisiana is going to do them some favors in the long term of things, considering just how well they've done. I mean, overall, again, the numbers are pretty helpful. And again, they did a good job out of conference. Again, that Missouri State series is not going to hurt you. Sweeping Maryland is going to help, right? Rice is helping their case right now with that early season midweek win. K-State's not hurting. Like, I mean, it's funny when you look at the RPI, like the resume, like the LSU win is almost like not even top 5 RPI wins for Louisiana right now. But, again, that series against Southern Miss, I think, is what jumps off the page. If Louisiana can hang their hat on having series wins over the 2 best teams in the league in terms of perspective standpoint of Southern Miss and Coastal, it's hard to justify them being left out.
Speaking of Coastal, what is their hosting situation looking like after a surprising kind of skid here at the end of the year?
I think it's kind of cooked. The only thing that's saving them is obviously they're going on the road, right, to Louisiana. So they have 3 quad 1 games on their schedule this weekend. So if they were to go to Lafayette and sweep, then I think that RPI, based off the math right now, that puts them at an RPI of 17. So you're right there on the cusp. And Coastal Carolina, everyone goes, oh, well, Sun Belt. Like, Coastal gets the benefit of the doubt comparatively to most, like, mid-major teams would. Like, if it was Coastal or Louisiana, both at 17 in RPI, Coastal's probably going to get the benefit of the doubt because they've seen what those crowds look like. They have the history. I mean, they were just in the national championship last year. So that program is going to get a little bit more of a benefit of the doubt for potential, like Boston College or Coastal for a host. I think the committee is going to end up finding a way to give that to Coastal, whether I think it's fair or not, or, them or Cincinnati or Oklahoma State. Like, it's going to be interesting, right? So I think if they can sweep, but I think they would have to sweep to really have that idea in mind. And again, they play a midweek today against the Citadel, which is still being played because the Citadel's RPI is actually 64. So conveniently no cancellation for that one in the era of canceling every midweek possible. So yeah, I think they're definitely not in trouble, but I mean, right now there's no reason to project they're going to host.
Yeah, look, we brought this up a while ago. You and I talked about it before because, I mean, it's not a new concept. I've been kind of paying attention to it for a few years now, and it's happened maybe more so than it ever has before. And we've actually had some official statements, and the NCAA is starting to get involved. Like, is anything going to happen here as far as the games being scheduled, making an effort to play them in the future? What do you think?
So it's funny. I talked to multiple coaches this weekend on my trip. And you can, for those that know my travel schedule, know the 6 schools I went to. I don't want to throw those schools specifically under the bus. You can probably figure them out. But one of them, Arizona State, they did cancel, right? They canceled their midweek today. They were supposed to play at Grand Canyon. Arizona State is, and this is not like an excuse. They're legitimately out of arms. Like, they only have enough to throw on the weekends, and even then, they barely have enough to do that right now. So playing that midweek game, again, there's a minimum threshold and a maximum threshold of how many games you can play. Boston College just canceled a game because they've actually played – they would be playing too many games if they played it. So, like, especially like those Northeast teams, they'll schedule more games than they actually can, knowing that there's a chance there's going to be cancellations so they can't reschedule later. So, like, from that standpoint, but, like, multiple coaches that I talked to, and this is not even from Arizona State, just in general, it's like – it's kind of like these programs are now trying to send a message to college baseball that the RPI has to change. Because, again, RPI is a basketball metric. It's set up to, give value. Again, they updated the RPI for basketball 1-to-1. Like, the RPI mid-major basketball teams in the 100 to 200 range, like, they can put together a pretty good crowd. It makes sense that they're a quad 2 game when you're on the road. But, like, I mean, the fact, like Dustin, what's so insane right now is that it's more convenient or better for your resume, right, to go on the road and beat the 237th RPI team than it is to beat the 100th RPI team at home or 80th RPI team at home because of the way the numbers work now, because 1 through 40, 41 through 80 at home. That's ridiculous. Like, you're telling me that beating LSU at home is easier to do than beating UMass Lowell at UMass Lowell? Come on. Like, that's not the same. Like, we all know this. So the metrics just skewed a little bit too much, in my opinion, to the basketball watch. Because, again, like, there's a lot more of a home court advantage in basketball, right, with these mid-majors. And it is, like, again, baseball is considered – or is not considered a revenue-generating sport by all schools, where obviously basketball is considered revenue generation for all schools at the Division I level. So, like, it's just not the same. The metric needs to be adjusted, and these coaches are kind of using that to, like, again, they're not. There's no true punishment because it's not like they can be disqualified from the tournament because they've played the minimum amount of games required against Division I teams. So it's not like they're falling below a threshold, but then they're also saving their arms for their big weekend series or things of that nature. Because, again, like, and like, though I don't like it because I do hate that there's so many midweeks getting canceled, and like, well, teams are losing senior days now because of it and stuff like that. I get all of that frustration, but until that metric gets adjusted, someone has to send a message, and sometimes there has to be a sacrifice to that, and that's what this is kind of becoming, in my opinion. It's like kind of you got to stop leaning so hard on the RPI, and it's funny because if you follow softball, the softball tournament was pretty much just selected by RPI this past weekend. Go look at the RPI and go look at the field. Pretty much if you were not in the range of what the field required, you were out. Like, there was no looking at logic, I mean, I'm glad that Southeastern Louisiana got in from the Southland. I think they deserve to be in the NCAA tournament when there was talks of them being on the bubble for not winning the Southland. But, like, you look at, like, just the metrics, it's like you almost punish these teams for, like, again, like I said, you get the same amount of value of beating LSU at home as you do going to UMass Lowell and winning on the road. That logistically does not make sense. Like, because there's no world where I think Boston College would rather play LSU at home than go to UMass Lowell.
I'm glad you brought up the softball tournament, Micah, because that's where I wanted to go next. We will see. We did get clarification from D1 Baseball that we had kind of alluded to it in a previous conversation, the still being able to use regionality, right? And it sounds like there's going to kind of be pods, right? So the teams seeded 1 through 4, you match them up against the teams in 29 through 32, and then you figure it out. Hey, where does it make sense to send a team? If we don't have to send a team from Texas to California, we can maybe do this accordingly. The other thing that I noticed about the softball tournament is they seeded it, and the way they organized it, they did 1 through 8 times, like almost like basketball. It just makes no sense to me. I'm really hopeful. I don't know if you saw the way they did that. I am really hopeful baseball just goes 1 through 32 instead of doing what softball just did.
Yeah, I'm under the impression it's 1 through 32, and again, it's potting it. But obviously we won't know until they actually roll it out. But everything I've been told is exactly what we've talked about right previously, which is the 1 through 32 with, again, the argument of there's a pot of 29 through 32. And we talked about it last week, right, when we did the show Thursday when I was in Lubbock. Like, they're going to use that 29 to 32 to where, 29 might be sent to the number 1 overall seed because it avoids an SEC versus SEC regional, or maybe a team like, for example, if Florida and Florida State, they're probably both going to be hosts, but like let's say both of them are, in this potentially vying for the same 1 and 2 seed. Like, they've played each other a ton this year. Like, maybe let's move Florida State to go to, Georgia instead or something like that. So that's going to happen, right? There's going to be some regionality pieces to that. And again, obviously, like the 3 and 4 seeds are going to be not strictly done by, regionality, but like that's going to play a big role into it for sure. Like, I don't think the 3 seed is going to be, NC State flying out to Corvallis when they could potentially put a Gonzaga who wins the WCC there. Kind of logic. So I think that's kind of where you'll see a lot of the change-ups.
I agree. And I actually do think they still did seed 1 through 32 in softball. Then they just convoluted it, though, by displaying it on the bracket as 1 through 8 in each, like, pod, which, anyway, we'll see if they end up doing that. How about this Mercer team playing Georgia Tech tonight? That could be a little fun, spicy midweek game that didn't get canceled.
Yeah, as someone that used to work in the Southern Conference and dealt with Mercer plenty of time, I used to run the Southern Conference baseball tournament back in my day. It's funny that they end the season with my former employer, East Tennessee State, right afterwards, too. So Mercer legitimately they have 4 quad 1 games this week. Mercer could be a bubble team. Like, their RPI is 38. If they go 2-2 this week, and especially if one of those is Georgia Tech, logically, I could hear out a 2-bid SoCon. Because what's funny is, in all reality, when you look at the Southern Conference standings, like, Mercer is obviously still in the hunt. They're tied for first place, but like, they lose this weekend, they're probably not finishing in first with Western Carolina right behind them. Wofford a game back. East Tennessee State is playing them this weekend 2 games back. Stanford also 2 games back. So the SoCon tournament's also got it's going to have 6 teams in the top 100 of RPI. So like, this is a very big week for Mercer, and obviously it's funny because if you follow college baseball, or my dear friends over at 11.7, Ben Upton played at Mercer. So you always hear about Mercer in the world of his stuff over at 11.7. So they've got some propaganda behind them too. So I'm excited for that Mercer Georgia Tech series midweek, because from Georgia Tech's standpoint, I'm not saying they're not going to care, because they're going to care, but like, a loss to them does not really affect them at all. Like what they have, because they have 3 quad 1 games this weekend at Boston College. So if they drop the Mercer midweek, so what? Like, they're not going to fall from a national seed because of that, especially if they take the series in Brighton this weekend at BC.
It's good stuff. It is good stuff all the way around. Micah, appreciate your time as always, man. Next time we talk to you next week, we'll be looking at conference tournaments basically exclusively. So that'll be fun, man. Enjoy the week.
You too. Appreciate you, Dawson.
That is Micah Butel, our friend from College Baseball Central, going through a lot of the big topics. It's some interesting stuff there that we talked about as far as how this tournament's going to shape up in the selection process, specifically with all these games that are being canceled and not canceled and all that stuff. So, all that being said, we'll take a time out here. We'll wrap up the show on the other side of the break. We've got full tee times for the PGA. Already went through a couple of the marquee ones there. We've got an update to the poll question, and we will send you on your way to AFR. This is The Lowdown, ESPN Southwest Louisiana.
This is The Lowdown with D-Lo, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Did you know you can get great tasting Clear Springs artesian water delivered to your office or your doorstep at home? Clear Springs is 100% local with their own bottling facility at the world-famous Kentwood Aquifer. No chemicals added. Just pure Kentwood, Louisiana artesian water. Clear Springs offers delivery of 5 or 3 gallon water service with a hot and cold temperature water cooler or single-serve bottles, and again, they could be delivered to your home or office. They're easy to reach as well. Clearsprings.net, hit the Contact Us tab, or you can call them at 337-519-3563.
ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is your home for the Houston Astros.
And the Astros stun the Mariners!
Hunter Brown, Yordan Alvarez, and the rest of the Astros are looking to get back to the postseason. You can listen to every pitch, hit, and thrilling victory of the Houston Astros.
Incredible!
As Robert Ford and Steve Sparks will be on the call. Tune in this season for live Astros baseball on Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Did you know you can get great tasting Clear Springs artesian water delivered to your office or your doorstep at home? Clear Springs is 100% local with their own bottling facility at the world-famous Kentwood Aquifer. No chemicals added. Just pure Kentwood, Louisiana artesian water. Clear Springs Water offers delivery of 5 or 3 gallon water service with a hot and cold temperature water cooler or even single-serve bottles delivered to your home or office. Easy to reach, clearsprings.net, then Contact Us tab, or 337-519-3563.
This is your Chiropractic Expert Minute, brought to you by Dr. Quentin Briscoe, chiropractic physician.
Hello, I'm Dr. Quentin Briscoe. You may have heard me for Chiropractic Awareness Month. Today I want to share a quick tip to keep your spine and your whole body healthy. Everyday habits like sitting too long, poor posture, or even sleeping the wrong way can cause misalignments that lead to pain, stiffness, or fatigue. Chiropractic care doesn't just treat pain, it helps your body function at its best naturally. A chiropractic adjustment can improve mobility, reduce tension, and even boost overall wellness. Combine that with proper stretching, posture awareness, and a healthy lifestyle, and you're giving your body the support it needs to thrive. We are in network with the VA Community Care Network, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Aetna.
To schedule an appointment with Briscoe Chiropractic, visit drqmb.com or call 337-534-0091. That's drqmb.com or 337-534-0091. Because your spine deserves expert care.
Every weeknight, MeTV has your laugh therapy.
To chase away the blues or the olive drabs.
With 2 hours of MASH at 5.
This guy's ankle has tickled my funny bone.
Followed by the Andy Griffith Show at 7.
Doggone it, Otis. You're supposed to be hugging me when I'm arresting you.
But he likes you, Bard.
Weeknights on MeTV.
Watch Meet TV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Helping you get through your workday. This is ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is The Lowdown. We are wrapping up this Tuesday edition of the show. By the way, if you've been listening or watching along on YouTube, just to address this, because I know it's been brought up to me a couple times, we are still in the infant stages of this stuff, right? So if you get if it gets off track with the audio and the video, That's something on the back end. We're working on it. It gets fixed, and then it kind of reappears for now. So it's not your computer. You're not lagging behind. And we are hoping to get that pretty much sorted out in the near future. So if you're watching along with the YouTube stuff, obviously we are learning as we're going here. But we're excited to be on another platform for you to be able to consume the show day in and day out. We've got some interesting stuff coming out of the PGA. So I said we've got, the tee times out. My guy Ricky's going to play in the morning on Thursday, afternoon on Friday. That's not ideal for my viewing purposes of being there, but we'll get through it. He's playing with Ludwig Oberg and Bryson DeChambeau. It's a pretty good pairing there. Ricky Fowler, Ludwig Oberg, and Bryson DeChambeau. Rory McIlroy was having a practice round today, as the majority of the field is, right? And he's got this foot blister he told people about. He's been kind of dealing with, and he took his shoe off on the 4th hole today and just kind of decided he couldn't do it anymore. So he was kind of limping a little bit, got to the 4th tee box. Kevin Van Valkenburg and Brendan Porath both reporting on this. Sounds like he was not able to finish his practice round today. Of course, I imagine, look, if this was the first round of the tournament, Rory would probably gut through it. My guess, I don't know. But it sounds like for now, like that's a real problem for Rory. So look, I'm sure he's got the best medical team and the best medical professionals around, and they'll get some ointment or some cream or whatever else they can get on that blister for the next day or so. And maybe he just practices tomorrow without having to walk a ton. Maybe just stays at the driving range. I don't know. But obviously Rory is, in the top 2 or 3 as a favorite, and looks like he might be dealing with some injury stuff throughout the week, so that's something to keep an eye on amongst the favorites. That is being pretty widely reported now at this point that Rory could be having some trouble. So we'll keep that in mind. Tomorrow, we do still have a full show tomorrow. I'm excited about it as well. It'll be my last show of the week, so we've got a big guest lineup coming up for you. We'll start with our friend Chris Fissaro. We'll head back to Aronimink. We will go live on the grounds. Chris is a part of the hospitality team over there. He's been working with them for a long time. He is great, so he's got a ton of knowledge about that course, about the setup, and about the tournament as a whole. So we'll talk to Chris at 1:30 tomorrow. At 2 o'clock, Zach Nagy, our usual 2 o'clock guest, joins us. We will talk all things LSU related. We'll get his thoughts on the Lane Kiffin, Vanity Fair stuff, all the fun things. Obviously, Zach covered Ole Miss as well. He is the perfect person to talk about. So we'll talk to Zach about that tomorrow. And then we will round things out with Chasten Tavares. Usually joins us on a Friday. I want to talk about McNeese's draw for the softball regionals, headed to A&M, face Arizona State in the first game. Want to talk about McNeese baseball and what they could look like in the Southland Conference tournament. So we will be joined by Chasten a couple days earlier than usual. He'll join us at 2:30 on tomorrow's edition of The Lowdown. So all that is coming up on a Wednesday, fitting 5 days of content essentially into 3 this week, and I think we've been doing a good job of it so far. So stick along. We'll be back for that on tomorrow's edition of the show, and we'll see how things go. Also, obviously, we'll have a little bit of a recap in the NBA playoffs. We got the Wolves playing the Spurs tonight in San Antonio. It is a 7 o'clock tip-off. We still have the NHL playoffs going on. The Golden Knights host the Ducks tonight. That series is tied 2 apiece. The Canadiens host the Sabres. Montreal leads that one 2-1, so they're looking to take full control, potentially go up 3-1 on their home ice. Look, I don't know if we're going to do too much of a breakdown on the NHL playoffs tomorrow, but it's there for us if we choose to. So we have all that and more coming up the rest of the week. Appreciate our guests here today, starting with our friend Kevin Foote, Sam Widerhalf talking Coastal UL with us, rounded it out with Micah Butel of College Baseball Central. Thanks to James Mesh as well. We'll be back tomorrow from 1 to 3 p.m., same station, same places you viewed us today. For now, though, it's AFR with Matt Moscona next.
May is Military Appreciation Month, and ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles and Nolan's Lawnmower Sales and Service in Carencro will be honoring our military all month long. Nolan's is locally owned and supports our military community every day. We honor and salute because freedom isn't free. May is Military Appreciation Month, and we salute you. Powered by Nolan's Lawnmower Sales and Service in Carencro and ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles.
Looking for a spotless workplace
Variety Janitorial Services is your go-to. For office cleaning to stripping and floor waxing and carpet cleaning, your commercial space will look its best. Their reputation for perfection has grown throughout the entire Acadiana community. They deliver top-notch service with a commitment to excellence. Daily, weekly, or deep cleaning, trust the experts. Visit varietyjan.com today or call 337-298-8704 for a free quote. Variety Janitorial Services. We clean, you shine.
MeTV is America's #1 classic entertainment television network. And here's one of the reasons everybody loves MeTV.
Oh, it's a classic.
The great comedy lineup on weeknights.
This will be fun. Come on.
With MASH.
Loaded with snappy comebacks.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I was just funning with Barney.
And Everybody Loves Raymond.
Now we got a show.
Watch Meet TV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on Channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
We are the soldiers of the Louisiana Army National Guard. We are your neighbors. We are your sons and daughters. While we serve part-time, we are learning valuable life and job skills. We are earning money for college, for trade and technical schools, and for certifications. We are proud to serve both our country and our home state. We are your Louisiana Army National Guard.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Live from Upper Lafayette, this is ESPN 1037 KLWB Carencro Lafayette, KLCJ FM Oak Grove Lake Charles 1041, a Delta Media station.